Good morning, I'm Claire Murphy. Welcome to the Solo Bureau. I don't know how much you know about how podcasts work in the back end, but they give you a whole bunch of data every day, like how many people listened, obviously, but also where you are, and I'm talking about you listening right now, what gender you are, what platform you're listening on. And I absolutely love that I have a regular listener in Germany. Hello, good morning to you, whoever you are, please reach out. Some in Czechia, Canada, Japan, the UK, the US, and in one of my favourite places in the entire world, over the ditch in New Zealand. So welcome, international friends. I am going to go ahead and presume that the majority of you are expats. Megan messaged me yesterday to say thanks for the Substack news because she's able to get it from her spot overseas. But if you are able, I'd love to get pics of where you're listening. I know my mate is listening on the farm while she drives heavy machinery, and my city friends are either in the car or on the bus. So wherever you are, please send me a photo. Also, to the people who asked me to restart posting the headlines in stories because they're getting their news updates while they're still in bed or nursing tiny humans and can't wake people up with any noise yet, I see you. Hopefully those stories are assisting you in your quest to be well rested while also being updated on what's happening in the world around you. Okay, let's get today underway, shall we? Lisa sent me a very important video the other day about something that's happening later this month that will impact everyone who has a mobile phone, but most importantly, anyone who has a hidden phone. I'm talking mostly to those of you who might be in a situation where you are not safe. But there may be other reasons you keep a second phone on the sly. No judgment here. We'll get into why that might be a problem come July 27. But first, here's what's been happening while you were sleeping. It's Thursday, July 9. Telstra says yesterday's outage was caused by a software defect, which was fully restored as of 4 p.m. yesterday afternoon. However, the impact on the Victorian regional train system is likely to continue this morning. The telco went down around 4:30 a.m. on Wednesday, leaving the majority of their 25 million mobile customers without service, businesses without the ability to function, and train services in 2 states forced to a halt. Acting CEO Michael Ackland said that there was no indication of malicious activity, despite allegations from One Nation MP Barnaby Joyce.
I hope it's just a coincidence about the intercontinental ballistic missile that went into the Pacific. I hope there's no, I don't want to be paranoid or conspiracy theorist, but we know there is the capacity for China to affect that sort of software.
That's Mr. Joyce speaking to Sky News. Ackland explained that it was an issue with timing.
So the issue is impacting a number of nodes within our network that keep time across the mobile network. And when these nodes are not operating as expected, which is what has occurred, other parts of the network can be affected, resulting in intermittent issues with some mobile calls and data sessions.
V-Line have advised that their network will still be impacted this morning, advising passengers to defer travel where possible. Communications Minister Annika Wells advised that some O calls had not connected during the outage, despite most being able to camp onto other networks, which means they can use other networks that aren't experiencing an outage to still call O, even though you aren't their customer. She advised that welfare checks were being conducted. But after Liberal Shadow Communications Minister Sarah Henderson admitted live on air that she was testing the service to see if it was working, she received this message from Emergency Management Minister Kristy McBain.
Our emergency services do a fantastic job responding to emergency calls when they are made. The last thing we need is anyone making test calls to 000. We teach our kids not to prank call 000, and I think it is absolutely outrageous that the Shadow Communications Minister has been making test calls to 000 at a time where we need to make sure that we are doing as many welfare checks as possible and making sure that that network is open to people in emergency situations.
A well-known Melbourne identity accused of raping a former employee claims that the woman made it up. The man, whose name and identity has been suppressed, is currently on trial in Victoria after pleading not guilty to sexual assault and rape. Police allege the man assaulted the woman at his home in March 2023. She'd been employed by the man in 2022 before reconnecting with him just the day before the alleged assault. She'd agreed to go to his house to have a conversation during which she alleges the man produced cocaine and they drank alcohol before she became emotional about a recent breakup. It's during this moment that she claims that he went to comfort her before sexually assaulting her. He's denied the claims of rape, assault, cocaine use, masturbation, and being punched by the woman, his defence lawyer questioning the woman's credibility. If this story has brought up things that you need to speak to someone about, please reach out to 1-800-RESPECT or the National Sexual Abuse and Redress Support Service on 1-800-211-028. President Donald Trump says the US may strike Iran again after saying the ceasefire deal with the Islamic Republic is over. Speaking on the sidelines of a NATO summit in Ankara, Trump criticised Iranian officials for what he described as not sticking to the deals they negotiated, warning that the United States will likely engage in additional strikes over ships being targeted as they travel through the Strait of Hormuz.
And so we hit them very hard last night. Very, very hard. Probably hit them hard again tonight. I'll give them a little warning. We're going to hit them hard tonight. But we'll see how it all works out. No, I'm not happy with them.
In earlier comments to reporters, Trump said that the memorandum of understanding that served as the basis for the current ceasefire deal between the two countries was over. New South Wales have bragging rights at least for the next 12 months after taking out Game 3 of State of Origin. The Blues defeated Queensland 30-12, with Nathan Cleary taking out the Wally Lewis medal as Player of the Series. Spice Girl Melanie Chisholm has paid tribute to the song that started it all for the group as Wannabe officially turns 30. Chisholm, who's also known as Sporty Spice, posted on social media, 30 years of girl power. Happy birthday, Wannabe. Also sending love to her former bandmates Victoria Beckham, Emma Bunton, Mel Brown and Jerry Halliwell. She signed off saying the song changed their lives forever. Brown, aka Scary Spice, posted the song's famous Zig a Zig R line. Bunton, who was known as Baby Spice, says, "I love you all, thank you." Halliwell Horner, who was known as Ginger Spice, said in her post, 30 years of Wannabe, thank you to my beautiful Spice sisters. Those are the top stories for today. If you're off, enjoy. We'll catch you for the State and Territory Whip tomorrow. For those of you still with me, though, we're talking about Aus Alert next and what that might be putting some people at risk over. A few days ago, Lisa sent me an Instagram reel by Jilly Clark, a content creator who was talking about the Aus Alert system. She's sharing it because Jilly noticed that she hasn't seen anything in her feed about it and thought that was strange. But what even is Aus Alert? So Aus Alert is Australia's new national emergency warning system. It's where messages can be sent directly to phones targeted in specific areas that may be facing significant threat. It could be flooding or a bushfire or a tsunami. It's already used in 30 other countries, allowing an emergency message to be sent to every compatible mobile device in a specific area at the same time, instead of one by one to each individual phone. So the phone towers essentially become broadcast antenna. This is not something you can opt out of. Every phone in the country will be part of this alert system, which will sound like this. Now, just a warning, if you have headphones in, especially if you've got them turned up loud, this might irritate an eardrum. So it was created in response to the 2020 Royal Commission into Natural Disaster Arrangements, which happened because of the devastating 2019-2020 bushfires that saw large swathes of the country on fire at the same time. This emergency alert will tell you what is happening right now or what will happen. So, for example, whether your area is planning to evacuate. But before it can go live in October this year, it needs to be tested. And the way they're going to do this is they are going to send it to everyone's phone across the country at the same time on July 27th. That is in 3 Mondays' time for those of you who need to visualise a calendar. Now, what that might also unintentionally do is if you have a phone hidden for whatever reason. Some of those people may be victim survivors of domestic violence. Nicole Madigan is a journalist and author who also sits on the board of Friends with Dignity, a group that works to provide practical support to men, women and children impacted by domestic violence. Nicole, welcome to the Solo Bureau.
Thank you for having me.
Can you give us an idea of what the potential fallout could be for someone who might have a safe phone tucked away somewhere because they're in an unsafe situation? If they've forgotten to turn it off and this alert goes off, I want to just address what worst case scenario could look like.
Yeah, so for victim survivors of domestic and family violence, a safe phone, it's a really critical part of their safety plan. So it might be used to contact police or family or friends or things like that. So for someone in that situation, if that alarm goes off and the perpetrator hears it, there's a whole range of possible consequences. So it could be anything from having that phone confiscated or destroyed. They might be accused of hiding things, which could lead to increased surveillance or restriction of their movements or further isolation. And in some cases, that discovery could trigger immediate violence. Even worse than that, it may lead to the discovery of an exit plan. And we know that leaving or preparing to leave is one of the most dangerous times for victim survivors of abuse. So anything that can reveal that plan can increase the risk of serious harm.
Now, we're being told that this emergency alert is going to override a lot of things. So you can't just put it on silent. You can't just put it on do not disturb, that you will have to physically turn the phone off. Is that okay for someone in that situation? Would that impact them? Like, say if the phone is off and they need it quite quickly and they have to wait for it to kind of reboot itself, is that a problem?
Yeah, look, I think the only way to avoid having that alarm go off is to turn it off completely, and I believe, or to put it in aeroplane mode. And as you say, that means the phone can't be used. So I think the best thing for someone in that position to do is, if they can, is to plan ahead and ideally not be in a situation where they're near their perpetrator that day, or leave their phone obviously with a trusted friend or person. But if they think that they're going to need the phone on that day, the best thing to do is try and avoid being around the perpetrator on that day, because, of course, if that phone is there, the risk is that the alert will go off.
What do we tell someone to do in the instance where the alert does go off and a phone is discovered? Like, is there anything we can do to help someone in that situation?
If they haven't been able to put a safety plan in place for July 27th, the best thing they can do is try to be in a situation where they're in the most safe part of their home or in the safest environment that they can be in. And of course, if something does play out where they're in danger, if possible, they need to call 000 or call someone trusted that they can get to as quick as possible, because in that situation, it is an emergency situation that has unfolded. So I would advise anyone who might potentially be in this position to get some advice in the lead up to July 27, whether that's speak to a domestic violence service or call 1-800-RESPECT to try to put a plan in place ahead of time to avoid a sort of a catastrophe on the day.
Nicole, I'd also like to get some advice on what to do if you are somebody who might have someone in their world that they suspect is in a situation or know that they're in that situation. What advice do you have to have a conversation with someone to let them know that you are a safe person, that you are a safe place that they can come to, or a safe someone to hand that phone over to in the time frame around July 27th?
Yeah, I think the most important thing to do is try to make contact with that person as early as possible so that some planning can be put into place. Avoid panic texting somebody about their hidden phone in the lead up to that day, or especially on the day, because obviously that can also create an alert and impact their safety. So I would suggest trying to get in touch with that person, meet them face to face if you can, and put a plan in place so that they can rely on you in the lead up to that day.
So hopefully we've given people enough time to consider all of that and to put a plan in action. It's a few weeks away, but I guess all we can do is hope that no one gets put in a worse situation by this that is supposed to help us in a time of national emergency. It's a really hard one, isn't it? Because we know that it's beneficial to us if we're facing bushfire or floods or something equally as threatening. But when that threat lives in your home and this is also putting you in the face of danger, this is a really tough one to navigate.
Yeah, it really is a difficult situation because, of course, as you say, we do need to be able to have these national alerts to keep people safe. But for someone living with domestic and family violence or coercive control or anything of that nature, these phones are a lifeline. So it's really important that they're made aware of these alerts and can put their plans in place.
Thanks for listening today, friends. I hope that information gives you enough time to make arrangements if you need to remove that phone, and get it somewhere else. But remember, you can just turn it off. Just one more workday for the Monday to Friday crew to get through for the weekend warriors. Hope you're gearing up for it. A quick reminder, if you loved something about the show, let others know about it by rating and reviewing it in your favourite podcast app. It really does the algorithm wonders. Have a good day. See you tomorrow.